Bereshit is the beginning of the Torah. It is the first portion that with it we are actually entering a new cycle of our lives. And this portion, Bereshit, has a wide and very interesting and wonderful subjects in it, yet in terms of time, we have almost not any time to learn it or to dive into it or to understand it. And that is because every portion, as we know, we have a complete week more or less to prepare to it or to dissolve it or to research it or to analysis this. But Bereshit always comes right after Simchat Torah, which gives us maybe 1 or 3 days to really try dive into those very tremendously magnificent concepts that we are in need to search, but without any time to actually do it. And so in the beginning Bereshit portion, when we come to the Zohar takes us to a journey to discover the multiple ways of understanding the somewhat abstract term of Bereshit, the word itself. The first way of looking at Bereshit, according to the Zohar, is that if we take the Hebrew letters that make up this word Bereshit and play with them, we will receive the words, the Hebrew term of Yireh Boshet. Yireh stands for awe, and Boshet stands for shame. And so now putting those two together will give us a different kind of in the beginning. In the Zohar explanation of in the beginning, we are about to find ourselves in much awe and shame. This is an initial state. We need to enter the reading of Torah according to the Zohar, as we are a tiny little fracture in much bigger creation. May this creation encompass the sky or the earth or all living things, the oceans, the vast space of the universe, or all those aspects of other creatures in this creation. Reading this first word of Bereshit and acknowledging the Hebrew term concealed in it, Yireh Boshet, it should give us a great deal of shame and awe from the King of Kings according to the Zohar. And so right in the beginning, we need to be retold or be reminded to look at ourselves as considerably very small in comparison to the entire creation and the greatness of God. And then the Zohar continues to yet another way of deciphering the word or the term Bereshit. If we take this term, its Hebrew letter stands for the initials of Bereshit Ra'a Elohim Sheikablu Israel Torah, meaning in the beginning God saw that Israel would receive the Torah, or Bereshit Bara Elohim. If we take the final Hebrew letters of the three first words in Torah, Bereshit Bara Elohim, we will receive Taf Aleph Mem, which that is the letters that together make up the word emet, truth. And that is implying that the truth is God, that God created everything, and that the entire Torah stands for the greatness of Hashem, of God. This is the truth, and we are to rise this truth up into the sky while doing our very earthly matters, as we know, obviously. So on another verse, the Zohar also implies that we are to do our very human earthly tasks or matters while our soul is humiliated and humbled, just as the earth is in compared to the greatness of Hashem, of the Creator. Another way of looking at the Bereshit word is Bereshit. Bereshit, Bereshit. Bara stands for the created. Elohim bara Elohim, God created. And shit is an Aramaic word for the number of 6. So Bereshit stands for created the 6. Now, in Kabbalistic terms, the six known as Zeir Anpin, as the face of the child. We have the parents, the father, the mother, the child, the daughter. And the child is, Zeir Anpin, is the spiritual powers of the divine attributes of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Ve'esod. We have here the six. Those are also related in other places in the Zohar to the directions that one can have, like the four directions and up and down. So those attributes of Zeir Anpin, of this boy, of the sixth, the spiritual power of the divine attributes, which are the ones that will eventually, when accomplished and being fully expressed, will enter Malchut, the seven attribute, which will then execute them or manifest them as physical forces in real life. And so we see that right in the beginning we have the Bereshit, and then the connection of Bereshit to the inner forces, spiritual forces within creation, the attributes. We also know that the attributes are, the midot are, we have in one midah all the 10 midot inside it, and go and forth. And so we may understand this better if we will go to the Baal Shem Tov saying about the worlds that are like dresses or garments to one another, just like the attributes. And so does the years of our lives, and so does time in general. So let's touch this somewhat elusive concept of spiritual time. So God's creation of the world took time. As we know, it took him 3 days to accomplish the task of so-called creation. On a deeper level, the Kabbalistic master refers to the physical world as the last link of creation through a term called Seder HaIshtalshalut. Seder HaIshtalshalut, we can, it's the Hebrew words for order and evolution, we can say. So order of evolution, but we're not talking here about physical evolution. We are talking here about spiritual evolution. We are talking here about a cosmic chain of worlds extending from heaven to the earth. So Kabbalah describes how God began his work of creation by creating all existences in their most sublime and spiritual form, which then proceeded and evolved in some sort of a metamorphosis in many steps and stages into successively more concrete form, ultimately producing our physical world, the lowliest of all, the most tangible embodiment of these realities, our existence. And so every object, force, or phenomenon in our world of the creation exists on the many levels of the Seder HaIshtalshalut, of this order of evolution, ranging from the most unearthly state to its most physical form, one can say. So not only the contents of our physical world, but also its defining parameters, such as space and time, are the end of the line product of Seder HaIshtalshalut, of the order of evolution. We know space in our three-dimensional world in the context of physical objects which are positioned in relations to one another, above, beside, behind, but we also know of a more conceptual space, which is, we can speak of a higher and lower planes of reality. And also we can speak of higher or lower, or describes ideas as deep or narrow. And so space, even under its own definition, in when all it regards to our concept or understanding, is not something that we can entirely grasp. So time too exists on many levels as it evolves from the most spiritual form all the way down to our physical time. What we experience as a one-way time arrow through the tenses of past, present, and future is also descends from the Seder Hishtalshalut, where time is expressed in many forms. This way, we have future, present, and past intertwined, all are together. And so while physical time is chronological, its past occurs before the future, spiritual time is not so limited. So in spiritual time, there is no logical sequences. Everything exists always. A way we can maybe understand it better is from the world of feelings, where one, as feelings are, one always have an entire spectrum of emotions that have developed through his lifetime. Doesn't really matter whether in the child, when he was a child, or otherwise, but also each feelings came to the actual manifestation of it in different stages of phases in his life, or in different time capsules and under different circumstances, but yet the feelings were always there. So the Seder Ishtalshalut itself, it's a function of spiritual time. The time is always there, the future, present, and past, all of them intertwined and always there, making some sort of a cause and effect to the things that we do in this world, but not necessarily revealed to us all the time. So the very concept of order and of evolution presumes a reality governed by cause and effect, as we can see. So we need to remember then that each acquaintances that we will have, a meeting we will find ourselves with, a place we will go to, or any kind of summoning we would face during this new year that we are entering to on this year, echoes through the Seder Ishtalshalut, the order of evolution, echoes through different kinds of cause and effects, or consequences that we are maybe aware of and maybe not aware of. Seder Ishtalshalut is some kind of chain of reactions. We have a physical human being that are definitely come from a spiritual source, from unknown spiritual realms. That would be the case in everything that we do. That would be the case in everything that we think, the way that we act or hold and manifest ourselves on this earth during this year. Everything is echoing. You echo the past and we echo the future. This is the idea of Seder Ishtalshalut, of order, of evolution, the order of things, the evolution of our spiritual being. The earth is echoing the sky, just as the sky is echoing the earth. And those two huge and magnificent powers of physical creation would have their manifestation due to the spiritual realms, both echo in other realms above and below, the heaven and the earth as well. And everything happens simultaneously and without our knowledge. So when entering this new year, we need to remember we are entering also again the echoes of years we had before, as well as entering what would come upon us in years that are in the future. So in this way, we can say that the efforts of Hashem, of the efforts of God in creating the world and maintaining it, correspond with our efforts of carrying ourselves during each year, manifesting His Torah in our lives and in our daily activities, carefully walking the physical world of the physical realm, while also aware of the spiritual ones, or the spiritual relations that we have with other worlds and with other realms. The conclusion of that is that we correspond with higher sources and higher forces all the time. We correspond with our past, we correspond with our future, and it is not necessarily a chronological way of looking at things that will give us the upper hand in understanding where we are about to go, or even where we have been through before. So by entering this year knowing this, we may stumble upon events or people that already were in our lives and now they're returning again. Or we may visit places that we have already been to and now we are reliving them through this new circle of things, because everything is in a divine dance of circulation. And we are circling everything and everything circling us, just as everything is happening again and again and again, but under different metaphors of living, under different aspects of things that we encounter with. So even so we can see that at the beginning, or in the beginning, this concept Bereshit is much more complex, and there is not really an end to it, not that we know of. Anyway, we are only in the first word of Bereshit portion. Imagine that. Even the first holy word we encounter through our yearly Bible reading has so many different interpretations, each of them true, each of them accurate, still as different as they are. There is even another way of looking at Bereshit according to the Zohar, the way of looking at Bereshit to take the Hebrew letters and make of them the words house, bait, and rosh, head. So head, the rosh, is inside the house. We have bet, and then we have rosh, and then we have yud taf. So we have the house and inside the head. And so it's almost as if to imply in a way that the Torah is the right house, the only divine entity house that we are need in to put our heads in, maybe. So let's now continue our journey and go to the even more enigmatic part at the beginning of the story, the creation of man. When man was created, the first thing or the first task that he would be required to do from God would be to name all the animals and all the creatures, all the living creatures that surrounding him. So here we can see that even before the feminine figure was created or entered to the picture, man needed to speak his mind, man needed to talk. And we know that speaking and talking, the mouth, is the malchut attribute. So here it is, even before the physical creation of femininity was created, the first attribute that the man had to do, his first task, his first thing in this world as a new creation in this world, was the feminine. Absolutely. And so man needed to speak his mind, to use this feminine attribute, to speak out words that will accompany God's creation and will complete his creation. So only by looking at this we can acknowledge now the importance of for us to open our mouth, and under this veil of what's going to happen, to name the reasons that brought us here, to name the consequences that brought us here, to the world and to this very special point in time where we are privileged to be alive and to continue our journey through the land of the living. What we have accomplished, we need to name this. What we still haven't accomplished, but we would want to accomplish further on. So by doing so and accepting or welcoming the positions in life we will encounter now, we will basically again take part in God's creation and take part in his heavenly art piece, which is this maintenance of the creation. This is like a beautiful painting, a beautiful art piece that is never ending. Its products are constantly evolving. So not only the physical world we live in we need to be aware of, but also the several realms of spiritual worlds that our existence corresponds with according to Seder HaIshtalshalut. So by walking carefully as active members, which are moving parts in creation, in this beautiful art piece, we have a great deal of responsibility to accompany God and to accompany Torah by doing mitzvot of the Torah and by delivering the world with the greatness of Hashem, with the greatness of God, with His guidance, continuous effort to complete and maintain His creation. So may this creation would be the lower realms which we live in, the physical existence that we have, or it will be the upper realms of the spiritual existence. This is a much more exciting way to approaching this new year that we are going to enter, the times of Bereshit, times of powerful, significant, and enigmatic portion, that being our circle of life, space, and time, once again, in all realms, the upper, the lower, everything around us, the people we know, the places we'll meet. So have a great Shabbat and continue reading the Torah. Each and every week, walk by the path of this amazing creation.